The season finale of Ahsoka has finally come out, and I cannot wait to talk about it as a whole with you guys. Now, if you've been on the fence on watching it, and you want something a bit spoiler-free, I guess we'll go ahead and do it now. Overall, I thought that it was actually really decent. And even as somebody that grew up reading the Legends books and everything like that, loving the Thrawn trilogy, as well as the Hand of Thrawn duology, I have to say, I was overall impressed. It was far from perfect, don't get me wrong, but they are working with a version of Thrawn that was, frankly, watered down a little bit for the Rebels series. However, this is a calculated Thrawn that is quite good. I'm not going to give any more details to that. If you are going in expecting absolute perfection, you might be a little disappointed, but if you are a fan of the Rebels series, you're definitely going to like this. And if you like Thrawn and are not going to be completely devastated if they don't have him 100% book accurate to Legends, then you may well enjoy it too. I actually did. Now, in terms of spoilers, I'm not going to get like super deep into them, but I am going to discuss a little bit. And bear with me, I'm a little sick, and I'm going to be recording back-to-back videos, this one and the weekly recap, so get ready. I'm uploading a lot more than I usually do, that's for sure. They spent a while to put Thrawn on screen, which was something that seemed like a good sign to me. I actually did become a bit worried in the end, but as the series went along, I actually kind of eased up and decided to just trust that they were going to take this in the right direction. And it ended up paying off pretty well. Thrawn was introduced late in the series, not because he was going to be quickly defeated, but because this is just the beginning of his resurgence in the Star Wars galaxy. We know that there's been an announced movie that's supposed to tie up all these Filoni properties, and I am theorizing that that is going to be the finale of Thrawn's story. Now, I'm not positive by that by any means, but this definitely put us a good step in that direction. This wasn't the end of Thrawn's story, which was great in my eyes because he is not a Saturday morning villain. He, in the books, was outsmarting everybody, pretty much every step of the way. It was actually one small fatal calculation that led to his death in the original trilogy of novels. But aside from that, Thrawn was outsmarting everybody every single step of the way. Freaking Akbar didn't stand a chance. Dude was ripping off his arm and feeding him lobster for dinner. Point is, I was really glad to see that he wasn't finished off at the end of this season. Even if they had brought him back in episode 1, I would not have thought that it was going to be satisfying enough to see him for such a short amount of time. It was really nice to see that he actually did manage to get away and make it back into the Star Wars galaxy. And the bit that he did with Ahsoka, oh man, made it all the better. This version of Thrawn is confident. He knows that he's smarter than most of his opponents, that he can think ahead of them, but at the same time, he's not just giving out bold claims like he kind of was in Rebels. This time, he's able to back it up with facts and just straight up proving it on the spot. Now, I am about to give a spoiler for The Bad Batch as well, so if you haven't seen that yet, I highly suggest you stop and go watch that because I think that there's going to be some tie-ins. Mount Tantus has been confirmed in that series, and I'm hoping to see it somewhere down the line involving Thrawn. Right now, he's made his way to Dathomir, which wasn't really too much of a surprise. He was clearly loading up corpses in his hangar bay. Who knows what he's going to do with those, but Dathomir seems like the right place to put them. But that's enough theorizing for now. There is one thing that I really want to compliment Ahsoka on, and it is a first, I think, in my entire life, because they did something in the Ahsoka series that I think I've enjoyed more than they did in Legends, and it's what they've done with Anakin Skywalker after his death. After he was confirmed to become a Force ghost, you think that you'd see him around a little bit, but in Legends, you don't see a lot coming from the Force ghosts. It seems like they just ebb out of the ability to project themselves as apparitions, and you just lose contact with them over time. I always thought that that was not the best way to do it. And Ahsoka has definitely decided to completely go against what Legends had established in that regard. Anakin Skywalker has taken quite the hands-on approach in making sure Ahsoka can succeed in her tasks, and at the very end we saw that he is still watching her. So there may be even more of him to come down the line. This is an Anakin Skywalker I have really come to like. Man, it is great to see Hayden Christensen on the screen so much. I can't get enough of it. Honestly, fan service it all day long. I will watch every single minute of it. I went into the beginning of this series very worried that they were going to keep this confined to nothing but the Rebels crew. That this was going to be a one season, one and done thing where they just go into this new galaxy, beat the crap out of Thrawn, and come home. Or maybe something gets stuck there. Who knows? And I was very pleasantly surprised. Thrawn is a villain that they very much need to pull all the stops for. Even though the Empire is fractured and extremely weakened, Thrawn is still strong enough to pull it all together into one cohesive form and actually put the hurt to the New Republic. So it's a threat that needs to be taken very seriously. And I think that we may be able to see the culmination of Filoni's works as well as creations of George Lucas. I think that we may get to see Ahsoka and Luke fight side by side down the road. But for that, only time is going to tell. For now, the thing I'm most anxious about is what they're going to do with Baylan Skoll. With Ray Stevenson passing away, unfortunately, after the filming of this season, the role needs to be refilled, and I do hope that they do it justice. Ray Stevenson really brought air to that character. Baylan Skoll is one of the first Force users that is completely canon that I have actually really enjoyed. Like, I've had absolutely no complaints. He is such a cool character, and I hope whoever takes up the mantle next really does it well. But overall, I'm giving this an 8 out of 10. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It had a bit of an issue with pacing, but not nearly as bad as previous Star Wars properties. They fit quite a bit into that 8-episode arc, and I'm very much looking forward. They've got me hooked for more Star Wars, so they definitely did their job very well. But let me know what you guys thought in the comments below.